So this episode is going to be Joseph talking about world problems. Today's world problem that Joseph will be discussing is world poverty and world hunger. Hello, so welcome back to the first episode. What was I saying? Welcome back. Welcome to the very first episode of my new podcast, which is It's a Funny Old Life. And if you read my if you watched my introduction, like my trailer sort of thing, you'd see it's not just about football, it's about other things, like other topics, but like if I'm guests on, I'll talk about what they've done in life, real problems, politics, stuff like that, Brexit, if you want me to. So if you follow my social medias, I've got Instagram and like Twitter. Then you got to maybe leave me some recommendations what I could do on my podcast. So today's episode is gonna be about a very, very serious thing that's going on in the world at the moment, which is poverty, like hunger and poverty. Which poverty is actually the biggest cause of world hunger. And it used to just be mostly around like the Asia area, but it's really started to take its toll here in England. It's a lot now. COVID really hasn't helped. It's disturbed people. It's like key workers obviously still being employed, getting their jobs, making the money, but people like self-employed. I'd know about people who are self-employed or just other people. And they're just losing jobs, or when they do a job, they're not getting enough money. They're not getting enough money, and that's affecting their actual life in general. Because where are they gonna get all the money from? For the kids, kids or the adults, just to get money, just to get food or like stuff like that. And it's really sad to see people going without. And a Manchester United player called Marcus Rashford really done well to help with the child poverty. And I think it's just a really sad thing. And I know a lot of places round by where I live, which is in Liverpool, where they do deliver food packages to people. And I know a lot of places, which includes the inclusive hub, they do a lot as well. I know watched a video on Liverpool FC where you're like a disabled kid, and as somebody who works with delivering food packages, I found it really hard, really heartwarming. I thought it was a very nice gesture for because I know a lot of people who are going without in the country, and not just in this country, all around the world. And it's just horrible to see. And most of the people who actually who are doing it, who people who are actually struggling with the poverty are actually a lot of them are actually being killed. And you don't want to see that off. You don't want to see that off people. Honestly, it's not a nice thing to be. And obviously it's affecting a lot of schools as well, because they won't be able. Some of the schools are now probably some of the schools probably won't have enough money to buy food for kids, and for a hot lunch. And it's just not something you'd want to see. And it's not and food poverty is not really just a recent thing. It's only just started happening quite recently. It's dates back probably to about World War II, maybe more back. And Martin Luther King, who he stood up for rights and food. And I know a lot of people who have actually done it. But it's actually started quite a lot now recently, that it started to a mad increase of food poverty. So obviously, in about this coronavirus, like concerns were expressed that the pandemic could result in doubling in global hunger unless world leaders acted to prevent this. Obviously, I think with our country as well, it's really struggling, and Boris Johnson putting us on lockdown isn't. I think he's trying to do it to help, but I'm not sure if it's really helping. A lot. Um, agencies such as the WFP have warned that this could include the number of people facing acute hunger rising from 135 million people to so it's an increase in 130 million to 265 million by the end of 2020. This is what it says, and obviously it's still, but it's probably getting more like to 270, 280, 290, 300 million as we move into 2021, because 2021 is absolutely no different really to not no different really to 2020. It's just the same, and it's still got the same problems like the hunger problems, and obviously large scale efforts to fight hunger were mainly undertaken by governments of the worst affected countries, by civil society actors, and by multi multilateral and regional organisations. Um, oh, it's and what Marcus Rashford's doing now is really good. Volunteers, and you've got like people like volunteers in like America, different countries, and obviously like people like traveling from England, like middle class people who probably have enough money to feed the kids, and that they're coming over to like obscure countries like Africa, Asia, like different countries like Nigeria. They all like struggle a lot because Africa. I'm not being, if anyone from Asia watching this, I'm not being like mean and or anything, but your country do is really bad with food poverty, and now England is really bad. And like I was saying before about like COVID-19, it's really not helped. And it's probably made, and it's made everything worse really. And I'm not sure if China really had a problem like Wuhan, because surely, I don't know, it's sort of just eating bats has actually caused this. Would them people who actually ate them bats, would they have just ate them bats for the sake of it, just to put well, I don't think they'd knew it, they'd put everyone on a full on lockdown. But would they have knew that it caused such damage to the country? Did they have a problem, or did they just do that because they just felt like they needed to do it? Because yeah, just, was there any need for them to do it? Since 2005, the number of million of undernourished people was 825.6 on average. It's got it, and because of all, like I was saying about the food banks, and people actually doing something to help, it's actually decreased, um, from 12.6% of undernourished people to 8.9 by the end of 2019, and I'm not sure if the coronavirus is actually making it go back up to about the 10s, 11s, or 12s, or if it's still going down. Well, I'm not sure. An alternative measure of hunger across the world is the GHI, which stands for the Global Hunger Index. Unlike the AFO's measure, the GHI defines hunger in a way that goes beyond raw calorie intake to include, for example, ingestion of micronutrients. Um, and the GDI, which is the Global Hunger Index, like I've just said, is a multi-dimensional statistical tool used to describe the state of country's hunger situation. It measures progress and failures in the global fight against hunger, and the GHI is updated once in a year of probably the number of undernourished and people who go without food, um, all over the world, and it's starting to happen all over the world because of COVID and people losing their jobs, and people being put on like furlough, and people like, and it's really hard for the unemployed people to to actually go and find a new job. It's really, really hard for them to do that. And obviously, most of them, because of really the struggle with food and money, um, actually become homeless and are without a home. And yeah, and and I know I'm not just saying it's just because of that, because maybe because a lot of people use money to buy like drugs, which I really highly disagree with, because it's just it's not nice, is it really? Like, so from 2020, it's mostly, I mean, from Europe, I don't, not sure, like about 14.9% is happening around, right about around around like the UK area. 35% in like middle of Europe. I'm not really sure what country that that is. It's on the map I've got up on here. I'm gonna put up on the world like map and have a look what country that actually is. That's the world map. That no, that's what's the United Kingdom is. So the United Kingdom's 2.5%. So it's that like that's still not good. So 2.5% of people who live in the UK are still struggling. 35% of from around, I think it's Chad. Like Chad is a country that's um in um Asia, I think. Oh no, Africa. Sorry. Um and Mozambique, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Madagascar, all countries like that. They're not really dealing well um with what's going the global pandemic and everything going on. South America doesn't really, like Argentina, like Chile area. It's not really struggling. A place that is really struggling is towards not like the top of Venezuela. That's a country that's really struggling at the moment. Um, like Canada, USA, Canada. That's not really a problem. Like Greenland, there's no feedback on it, and most of Europe is like not a very poor place, but like just like little places like Japan, South Korea, like places like I was saying before with Asia really taking a toll for the worst. Um, like India's really struggling with like food, and what obviously like Marcus Rashford, what he's doing for World Hunger is incredible. Obviously being a Liverpool fan and hating Man United with all my guts. Not biggest fan of Marcus Rashford, but I am a massive fan of what he's done for all the community. And his starvation, like some of the effects that it could have or symptoms of starvation is like changes of behaviour or mental status. Um, like the beginning of stages of starvation impacts mental status and behaviours, and the symptoms like fatigue, really bad mood, really bad concentration, preoccupation with food thoughts. Like you just really think the only thing you think about is when am I next having food? Like when am I next have like dinner or tea, or can I have a snack? And obviously in countries and there's places who people who are really poor don't don't actually get that opportunity, and it's really sad. I and your immune and with with that um not like starvation, it weakens your immune system. Um which is like if you got a wound, it slowly heal rashes will develop on your skin. And like a, that's more on like the physical side, which is also like a sign and symptom. Um, like it usually takes days or weeks. Like your heart rate you'll get a really fast heart rate and like thirst, constipation, diarrhea, um, it's just and it's just not not nice to hear that people are actually getting this problem. And obviously, like Boris, just he really and I am a massive. I really do not like Boris Johnson because me being on the like the Labour side and he's a Conservative party. I think I'm not sure really about politics, and he's not really done much to help the situation in hand. And Marcus Rashford's really tried his best. No wonder he was awarded an MBE because he's really just just helped. And if you and like the medical reasons where you could see, like you could if you've gone absolutely really skinny, like you can actually see the bones in your body. And I've seen that on like different adverts where like people are advertising to pay money to raise for these people who are people who are really who are struggling with poverty. And you can notice like little babies, adults are crying, little babies, like newborn babies are just so skinny. Like people having to go into like rivers and lakes, really dirty rivers and lakes to get water to bring home for the family, or like go snoop around and go and try and find um food like food and resources for the family. And um you see that on advert and it just gets you emotional. It's just a horrible thing to see. And digestive diseases, coma, major depressive disorders like depression, coma, diabetes, eating disorder, and like maybe not even eating food. You don't eat food, and it still actually gives you eating disorders, bulimia nervosa, anorexia nervosa, celiac disease, like circumstantial causes like hunger striking, excessive fasting, poverty, like I've said, which is probably the biggest cause of um this world hunger um in the world. And obviously from 1970, 37% of undernourished people in the less developed world, which is I would say Asia. And now it's obviously slowly decreased now, but it's still a lot of people which is um happening happening too. And this all and like I was saying, it started well before now, like World War Two, like concentration camps with Hitler and that. He probably didn't really let the Jews eat. He was very cruel to the Jews, didn't let the Jews eat when they were stuck in concentration camps and had to move to different ones and ghettos. And like the Nigerian Civil War, malnutrition and hunger was a big problem then, and it's a critical care and weakness and tiredness and lack of energy, loss of consciousness that'll end up happening, and obviously like dying. It's not nice, and obviously we're gonna move into more of a actual lighter note with what Marcus Rashford's done, and I found him particularly um I found him particularly heartwarming and particularly inspiring for people. Like he just helps people with food problems, and um he helps with the food problems more or less in England, which is it's really becoming a problem here now. Obviously, we was talking about the map before. It's not really that much of a problem as other countries, but it is still a bad problem. 193 different countries signed an agreement to end all forms of malnutrition by 2030. The UND, which is the United Nations Division for Sustainable Development Goals, hunger, achieve food security, and improving nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. That is what they said. And I don't think people who lead countries don't really care how much it costs as long as it ends poverty in their country. They just they just do it. They want to help their country as much as possible to you've got to improve agriculture, which boosts incomes. Teaching shared responsibilities for health and nutrition, empowering women in agriculture. That's also a big problem with women. Like no one thinks women can do what men can do, and women are clearly capable of doing what men can do. And let us bring women into agriculture and managing natural resources and preparing for disasters. But you've got to prepare for you've got to if you're someone who's listening to this and you struggle with the corona and like not really getting fed, then you've got to prepare for what happens. And the symptoms are like the change in mood, like slimness, loss of concentration, like loss of consciousness. That's basically most of the symptoms. So if you're listening to this podcast and you suffer from yeah, it just doesn't help. And meeting the immediate needs. Yeah, so this is just me addressing my opinion, and I really just feel for the people who obviously suffer from from this problem, and I really 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 feel for you, and hopefully like life gets better, and it, the world improves for you, and yeah. So thank you for listening to my podcast today. If you enjoyed it, then please just let me know, and please watch and listen to my podcast, and I'll be joining you from Wednesday.